This is Pro Series Off Topic.
Welcome back to Pro Series Off Topic. This is episode 79, and this is the first time I'm actually recording an off-topic episode at night. I usually record it like first thing Saturday morning or first thing Sunday morning. Just didn't get to it today, and tomorrow I won't get to it again either. So I'm like, hey, let's just do this at night. I sometimes record Pro Series at night. Actually, I've recorded a lot of Pro Series at night. If they're in a different time zone, I have to. I've done Australian ones at like 10 o'clock. I think 10 o'clock is the latest I've ever done a Pro Series, I believe. And the earliest I've done is, I think, 5 a.m. on the weekend. And it just all comes down to time zones. I try to make it work as much as possible. Usually I don't record the Pro Series during the week until after work. So 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock. But this is the first time I'm doing it at night for Off Topic. So let's see what this brings. This is episode 79. We're just coming off a week with interior designer here in Pittsburgh, Cecil Bendina. I recorded that over Zoom. It wasn't an in-person one, but she is here in Pittsburgh. Really cool story. I love hearing these designer stories or just entrepreneur stories where they take that leap of faith into a different career. And I think a lot of people do that. And it's, it starts as a passion job, and then it gets into they take that leap of faith into that passion job, into their career. And it's a really inspirational story. So go check that out. It was episode 159. Next week, 160, will be with Nick Frazita. He is a entrepreneur from Pittsburgh, living in Virginia. He tells the whole story. We had some issues with the whole recording of it, so we got some of it cut off. We actually had to record it twice, and then it got cut off somehow. It's weird. I've done many in-person Pro Series. It's all recorded from my phone. I use my pod track, but for some reason, his interview stopped twice in the recording. I don't know what happened, but basically what we missed at the end of this episode was his social tags and usernames and stuff, to where to follow him, what his businesses are and everything. So I'll just be doing that. I'll be in the intro and the outro and the recording of the interview. So that will be this week. So it's another in-person. It was shot here in my basement. I think that was shot 2 months ago, a month ago. Can't even remember at this point. But it was great. So check that out. It's coming out next Wednesday. And then, more and more to come. I think I'm recording a couple more next week. But let's get into the off-topic episode. I don't know what I'm more confused about. The fact that it is October now, or not knowing where Chappell Roan came from. She plopped out of nowhere. Yes, I'm only really listening to country music. I dabble sometimes into other genres as well, but I feel like she came out of nowhere. She's very, very good. Maybe I'm very late to this train. So I kind of did a little bit background of her history, and she came out with her first song in 2020. And then this album that she came out with last September with Hot to Go last year. And then she had The Good Luck Babe, that's her current single. It came out this year. But she really just blew up out of nowhere. I think Sabrina Carpenter also did that as well. But she's had many albums. It took Sabrina Carpenter a long time to get momentum. I think she was always in the limelight. But I think not until Espresso came out, she blew up. But Chappell Roan, where'd you come from? Sometimes those type of how someone gets into fame so fast really, really inspires me, especially when it comes to TikTok. And this summer we just went through it with the Hawktua girl. She blew up out of nowhere from just a interview that she did in Nashville on Broadway. So those type of stories really interest me. It's just strange how media or how people just relate to those people and how they just become famous so fast. You think about any these really, really famous people in the world. You think of Taylor Swift or Beyonce, or the biggest pop stars in the world or biggest celebrities in the world. it didn't happen overnight, and I know Chappell Roan's did not happen overnight. And I do not want to like diminish what she grew from, what she grinded, because I know she had to have. Her first song came out in 2020, and 4 years later, and she's having her like finally her big moment, and it's a huge moment, but it just happened. It seems like it happens overnight to a listener, and maybe it's just me being out of the pop world or the hip hop world and really any other genre than country music, that she seems like she came out of nowhere, and I think that's definitely what happened there. But it's insane the power that she has on, and the grip hold she has on it. But I'm really actually growing to not just like her music, but her personally, because I've seen her in interviews and stuff, and it doesn't seem like the celebrity life is what she wants. She's really strictly doing it for the music and the creativity of it all. I think I saw a video of her on TikTok of like her yelling at like a paparazzi or something on VMAs, or something happened on the VMA red carpet that she went crazy for, because it was just someone was being really rude. And I love that. I love that celebrities that kind of come out of nowhere with this fame, or really have this big fame after, an album or a song, and they kind of figured out they don't like the fame part, but they love the singing part. That happened to Sam Hunt, like in the 2015, 2016 time period, when he just blew up out of nowhere, and he took a break, and he did talk about how like fame wasn't what he was expecting, and it wasn't what he wanted, and he did take a long break. He focused on himself, he focused on his family, and I think now hearing that and seeing that, I think you grow a better fan base. You get better music as well, because you're not just doing it for a radio hit or be that big artist. And I think it's going to be kind of cool to see where she goes from here. Again, I don't talk about pop music here ever, but I just think it's crazy how big she is right now. Next up, I want to talk about podcasting. This past Monday was International Podcasting Day, and I tagged a few podcast friends that I've made over the years. And podcasting, I've always talked about. I love it so much, but it's just more than just, I think so many people, when you come out with a podcast, they think exactly what I said in my caption. They think you're trying to be the next Joe Rogan or Alex Cooper or whoever, fill in the blank, whoever's the biggest podcaster out there. But in reality, you're just really doing it as a marketing tool for your brand and to get more of a following. I mean, it selfishly, and I say this a lot, selfishly, these interviews I'm doing, because I truly want to know these people's stories. A lot of the questions I'm doing is strictly because I'm just curious. It's a casual conversation. I hope you get that from listening to them, but I just strictly really want to know how these people got from, college or high school to now. It is just inspiring, even if you're not in that, in that niche or that industry or whatever. It's just you can relate to it in some way, and that's what I love about it. And I think that's where we are going nowadays. I had a conversation with someone that was actually on my podcast a little bit ago over Instagram, and we were talking about how these people that aren't talented become so famous because of maybe their personality or just being able to relate to someone that is through the screen. Because I think so many people do live through the screen nowadays, and that's how these people are getting so big. Like to Talk to a Girl. I say Talk to her because that's her podcast. She is so big right now, and I think it's just because she's a normal girl. And I think that weighs on a lot of people's opinions with relating to these people. And I think that's kind of how Joe Rogan got famous. And that's how, Alex Cooper got famous. She was just, just a normal girl that, got hired by Barstool and just talked about really whatever. And I think, I forget who from Barstool said this, but like, she's like the only person that could get away with talking about dirty stuff and then talking about clean stuff and then get into a professional conversation. Like no other person could do that. You think of these big interviewers like Oprah and Diane Sawyer and Barbara Walters. They never done that. They just do it's strictly a professional conversation, but she's able to relate to more than just anybody through the screen. And I think that weighs way more than someone who, and I'm not downing anybody who went to school for journalism or anything, because there's so many amazing journalists out there and interviewers and reporters and hosts that are so good at their job and went to school for it. But there are some that are just so robotic and it's so sterile to the point where people get turned off by it. They think of it as a news anchor. And if you listen to any of the successful podcasts, none of those hosts talk like that. None of the hosts sound like that. It's maybe it is somewhat scripted, but it doesn't sound like it. They're somewhat of an actor if they're doing a great job about it. But I feel like we are in today's day, how people consume media nowadays. They want to be able to just listen to something that's, a friend's conversation or listening to a family member's conversation. They don't want to listen to a media outlet journalist that is high strung. It has to have every single syllable correct, standing up straight, and is unwelcoming, because that's what it is. Unwelcoming, sterile. It's not what people want to relate to. So, that was a big tangent, but that was a conversation I had on Instagram this week after my podcast post, and I thought everybody should listen to that, and I think everybody has an opinion on that. And you're probably following someone on Instagram or any type of social media now, and you're like, why do I follow that person? And then you remember, well, maybe because they posted this post and it reminded me of my life or something that I want to do, and they just seem more relatable than, someone else. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with podcasting and not getting afraid to do it, because you're never going to know who you're actually going to relate to. And that's how you build a brand. You want to relate to your audience. And if there's someone out there that doesn't relate to you, they're not your audience. And it doesn't matter if whatever their opinion is on you doing a podcast or you putting yourself on social media or posting a video or posting a photo. It doesn't matter. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for your brand. You're doing it for yourself. For the very first thing, you're doing it for yourself. And then you're doing it for the people that you're relating to, that you're actually making a difference for. Sometimes that role right there is very hard to see because maybe you don't get a lot of likes, or maybe you're just starting. But there are so many people that are seeing your content, your podcast episodes, that you don't actually know about, or maybe they don't like, or maybe they don't comment. It's okay. Just keep going, stay consistent. And I think that's where people go wrong and kind of fail, or they listen to friends, listen to family, but they don't understand why you're doing it. And really, they don't need to know. All you need to know is you want to do it. It means something to you, so you should keep doing it. So if you are wanting to start a podcast, highly suggest you to start a podcast. I've helped out so many people with this conversation and helped them get into the podcasting world. Just DM me, I'll help you out. It's easy, it's fun, it's a great way to get connected with other people in your industry. It's a great way to up your career. It's just such a great tool that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. But let's get into country music this week. I want to start off. I missed a whole album last week. I don't know how I did this, but I totally forgot to listen to and talk about Luke Bryan's new album. Mind of a Country Boy came out last week. It's probably his best album in a while, probably since Kill the Lights in like 2014, 2015-ish. I think it's a great song, or a great album altogether. Best songs off of it, other than his singles. I don't want to talk about his singles that he's already had. Probably Closing Time in California, Southern and Slow. Jesus About My Kids is a pretty good one too. Yeah, I mean, it's honestly a great album. It is his best since Kill the Lights, in my opinion. I think he's on an upward climb, and I feel like when you're a big artist like that, you feel like they already hit their plateau, and I think Luke Bryan is still on the top of his plateau, still going strong. He's still selling out stadiums, still selling out, getting massive amounts of number ones. I forget, he's in the 20s now, which is insane. If you look back at these legends and see their number ones, like Garth Brooks isn't even close to the amount of number ones that Luke Bryan has. I forget. I mean, George Strait obviously has the most. It's like 60 some. And then I need to get the list out. But I mean, there's only two women in the top, and it's Reba and Carrie Underwood, Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean, Charlie Pride. There's a bunch of people, but these massive artists don't have them. Like Toby Keith just came out. Toby Keith's family just came out with an album of his 13 number ones. 13? I could listen to his whole discography and know every single song. It's just weird how his career was so big in my mind. I wasn't paying attention to number ones back when, I was little. So they were all number ones to me. And you looking at that list and I'm like, wait, this song wasn't a number one. This one wasn't a number one. It's just crazy how country music works, how country music radio works. Just insane. But first up, let's talk about Megan Moroney. She came out with the deluxe version of Am I Okay? The deluxe version is called Am I Okay? In parentheses, I'll Be Fine. It came out on Friday. It's 3 new songs. Break It Right Back, Bless Your Heart, I'll Be Fine. She wrote on social media what these songs kind of mean before they came out. Break It Right Back was kind of the song after Am I Okay? If you haven't listened to Am I Okay? It's about her meeting a guy that was a dream and her looking at it. She's so happy, and then she's like, wait, am I okay? I'm not used to being in a good relationship. But she came out with the story that she broke up with this guy, or they broke up the day before she sang the vocals for that song. So she's singing it, but feeling like it's a lie coming out and lying to her fans because that 6'2" guy that she talks about in the song, they're not together anymore. So that's what Break It Right Back is. Bless Your Heart, I think, is the best of the 3 that came off of this deluxe album. She says it's like the sister of Not Pretty. It's a great song. I love the saying Bless Your Heart. I think it's the funniest thing in the world. So, and she's very good at those type of songs. And then I'll Be Fine is good. I think I'll Be Fine will be a really good tour song. And I don't think it'll be a single, but I think it's going to be like a very deep album cut that she's going to be singing for years on end. Because, just listen to the song, listen to the end and how the chorus is. I think a lot of people, especially in the audience, will love to sing it over and over again. And she'll probably get the audience involved and her band involved. And I just think it's a song that will stay with her career, even though it probably won't be a single. Next up, Runaway June came out with a new song called New Kind of Emotion. Honestly, I don't like it. I am a Runaway June fan. I saw them in 2018 when they were on that Cry Pretty 360 tour. But when I saw them, it was just Jennifer Wayne, and it was the original people. Well, the second part of the original people. The original people weren't, long story, but 2 of the people left right after that tour. Naomi and the other girl, and then they replaced Naomi, and then they replaced the other girl. So this is kind of a whole new band. They don't sound like Runaway June. The only person that is involved is Jennifer Wayne, and she's been involved the whole time, but she isn't the lead vocalist, so it sounds so different. It just sounds like a whole different group, different band, because it pretty much is. But honestly, I'm not a fan. But going back to their Blue Roses album, the debut album, that whole album was amazing. They only had the number 1 song off of it, Buy My Own Drinks, but that whole entire album was a no-skip album. It's robbery what they were treated on that album, because they had so many more singles that could have got went out to country radio on that because it was such a great album. The number one song of the week for me is from Lane Hardy. You might remember him from American Idol winning quite a few years back. It's Dancing on the Moon. I haven't seen or heard from Lane in a while. Like, I'm saying that like he's my friend or something, but his music wise, I haven't heard anything. And I think this is his best one yet. And I think this might be the one that he pops off with on country radio. I think it is a future number one. It's a great song. It's a different sound from him. Just go check that out. It's called Dancing on the Moon by Lane Hardy. Next up, Connor Smith came out with an EP. The Storyteller. Nostalgia is probably the best one off that album. Next up, Ella Langley came out with Weren't for the Wind. And I guess it's about Glenn Powell. So at least I saw that on TikTok. I don't think she confirmed it yet, but great song. It's probably my second best song of the week. She's just a great artist that's also coming out of nowhere off of that Rally song. She has such a cool country voice. Yeah, go check that one out. Zoe Noelts came out with a Apple Music Nashville sessions. Again, I love them. I feel like they're coming out every week now. He came out with Sweet Dreams, Austin, and Garth Brooks' The Dance. Great song. It's one of Garth Brooks' best songs, and I think he did a great job with it. And then Jamie Johnson, I think we talked about a few weeks back, signed it with a new record label, and this is his first song off the record label called Someday When I'm Old. Such a good song. He has such an underrated voice in country music, and he has a great storyteller voice, and that's what this song's about. So go check that out. Lanco, and great song too. It's probably the third. We have had quite a few great songs this week. It's called Where I Belong. Lanco is, a band. If you don't know them, they've have multiple number ones. This is just going to be another number one. It's a great song. And then last up this week, Eric Church came out with a song that he is giving all the credit to the Helney edit of the hurricane victims. It's called Darkest Hour. I love what he's doing with the song, giving them all the credit, giving them all the proceeds of this song. But I do not like the song. I think it's the way he sings it, especially in the beginning, how he's trying to strangle his voice. I do not like it at all. I think the lyrically, beautiful song. But the way he's singing it is not doing it for me. I wonder what other people are saying. I want to read the actual reviews of it because I can't be the only one thinking that. Okay, let's go into the media base chart. Number 5 this week, Jelly Roll, I Am Not Okay. Number 4 this week, Kane Brown and Marshmallow Miles on it. Number 2 this week, Luke Bryan, Love You, Miss You, Mean It. Number 2, Post Malone and Blake Shelton with Pour Me a Drink. And the number 1 song, again, is Ain't No Love in Oklahoma by Luke Combs. That's all I have this week. Again, there's another in-person podcast for the Pro Series this week, so stay tuned. It's coming out Wednesday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will talk next week.